Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and returning to the podcast once again is Austin Wingfield. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Another day in the Beats Lab.
Real name, no gimmicks.
Haspil, what have you been up to, buddy?
I've been working, just slaving away. Had a lot of guests come in from out of town, too, so I'm a little bit out of the loop on things 40K right now.
But before we go through an hour of podcasting without mentioning something amazing that's recently happened that we just talked about in the webcast.
Yeah, so some of you guys might know that I wrote a book, a novel, and I'm an author. And the publishing industry works at a much more lackadaisical pace than I would prefer. But this week, my book went on pre-order on Amazon. So the easiest way to look for it is just to type in my name, Mike Haspil, or Michael Haspil, Haspil, and it will come up. The novel is called Graveyard Shift. If you see another book by a guy named Michael Haspil with a Haspel, and it's about German Protestant interaction with the Weimar Republic, that is not me. That is a guy who is a professor of theology at the University of Jena. Turns out we have like this same name. It's just that mine is spelled Haspil.
You guys even look exactly the same.
Probably.
Well, you did your research. I'm glad you informed me so I didn't buy the wrong book, Haspil.
Yeah, because the other ones are like in German and probably not as much fun as mine. And my book, just to give people a heads up, because the listing isn't final on Amazon. They're going to add the different formats and everything. And of course, it's going to go to Barnes & Noble and Books A Million and all the other booksellers. But Amazon beat everyone to the punch, so we're talking about that first. It's been described, not by me, but by other people, as Seven with vampires, or The Wire meets True Blood. And I'll just, since they don't have like a back cover copy or anything on there, I'll tell you guys just in one sentence what it's about. It's like when a new threat to the tenuous status quo arises, a disillusioned and apathetic immortal pharaoh who is blackmailed into law enforcement must battle an ancient vampire conspiracy with the aid of his Roman vampire partner, a shapeshifter, and a vigilante gang. So it's kind of insane.
Best sentence I have ever heard.
That was a lot of words that normally aren't together.
So I need help, because for all the fans out there that are really interested but never read in the history of life, can you narrate this for me?
Actually, if you guys are not big readers, there will be a version on Audible that's coming out.
What?
Perfect.
So this is just available for like pre-order right now. Obviously, as things get closer to release, we'll do more promotions. We'll talk about the different formats. But yeah, there will be an Audible version coming out on audiobook. So stand by for that one.
That's pretty good. So when's this go? This comes out in June next year?
In July of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Gonna be an exciting summer.
I was just too excited to go 5 minutes without bringing it up.
Yeah.
I read the original draft 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been that long.
One of the only books I've analog read in a decade.
Apparently they still make books.
They do, and I didn't know this, but I can't wait for the Audible. But I'm gonna I have to pick up this hardback, because it's also a hardback.
It is a hardback right now, yeah.
So I need to
you got a badass cover on there, Haspil?
I do. I have a really sweet cover.
You'll post it up in Discord. Anyone who trolls our Discords will be able to see it.
Yep.
But it's time to I think it's time to start off the webcast recap, and I think Haspil was going to go first because he had some. I have some. He reports on the underground.
Yeah, I have some not 40K. Yeah, not webcast recap.
We don't do that.
Market watch. Yeah, I have some not 40K related game. It's called Halcyon 6, Starbase Commander. And it is like 8-bit graphics. You know, if there's a game out there called FTL that if folks like that game, you're gonna love this. It's FTL taken to the next level. It's simple at first, but it has the base building of like the new XCOM. You know, with like, hey, you have to explore your own base to recover rooms and in this alien star base to recover them so that you can build your stuff. It has tech tree kind of, researching like Master of Orion. It has shipbuilding similar to the old Master of Orion, not the new Master of Orion. It has personnel management like the old XCOM. So if you hear me saying a lot of this stuff, that's what's good and bad about this game. It is a time vampire. It is one of those games that you're like, oh, well, you know what? I think I'm going to hit the sack early tonight. I'm just going to play a turn of this. Oh, is that the sun? It's like that bad. So, and it's from an independent studio. It's a lot of fun, and it has like these like random interactions with alien races that come in, and sometimes they're hostile to you, sometimes they're good to you. So it has a diplomacy aspect to it too. It's just a heck of a lot of fun, and I think it's like $20. It's just really very cheap, so you can throw this independent studio bone. It's fun. It is a good game. And the other thing I had to talk about was October is here, obviously, and that is time for the Warhammer 40K comic book that gets launched. If you pick up a White Dwarf, it comes with issue 0, which is a prologue. And this month, I think they have 5 variant covers or something like that. Head down to your local comic shop and pick it up. And if they're not carrying it, tell them to carry it. More 40K is better for everybody. I snuck the thing to work today to try to read like in between stuff, and I accidentally forgot it there. So hopefully when I head back to work tomorrow, there'll be some new 40K fans.
So like, what is this comic? It's like that meme where it's like the kid and his mom. It's like, hey, what's this comic book for the Emperor?
Exactly.
Do we know how specific? Like, what are they going over in that comic? Like, what does it entail?
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that, like, without spoiling it, it's basically focused on a couple of different things. Like, there's a demon hunter in there, getting some info from a demon host. And then also there's the Dark Angels doing Dark Angel stuff. But what I thought was really hilarious was the chaplain that's leading the landing party in the prologue is basically just spouting off all this like rhetoric, like the whole time. He's like, just like every bolt pistol shot and every like swing of the Crozius, he's just like got another like one-liner for the Emperor, like just how you would imagine it would be,
God damn it! Shut up, Chaplain Dan.
Yeah, seriously. Like the other brothers are like, getting out of drop pods, like area secure, like target engaged. And like this dude's just like, this, that would have never happened if you hadn't renounced your faith, and like all this stuff as he's shooting guys in the face. So it looks to be a pretty good comic. I won't lie. Like
bringing some humor into it. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, who knows what kind of
they might not realize it's funny, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny to us because we're more tactical type folks. I feel like. So yeah, that issue comes out. The new White Dwarf's out this week. We're seeing all the second wave of the Genestealer Cult stuff. So you've got the Icon Ward, the guy holding the banner. You got the pack of conversion kit. It's basically for kitty and shock troops. You get an actual heavy weapon sprue in there, and then you get the conversion sprue that comes with the alternate heads with the little goggles. I like the little masks. They have basically, they have masks over their nose and mouth. So like if you ever wanted to make like Cobra from like G.I. Joe or something, this would be a good way to do it right here, because they already have like the putty work done. You just need some like Cadian helmets.
World's most ineffective terrorist organization.
Literally, they can't kill anyone. Nothing.
I don't even understand. They're basically the Chaos Space Marines of the G.I. Joe universe.
It's so true. Remember those big battles? Like you would see the whole screen would be filled, and they would just be shooting.
It's all Imperial propaganda, man. It's like we need more money to fight Cobra. Like what? No, you don't.
Cobra has literally done nothing like in decades. They show up, they put on a light show. You can literally play Pink Floyd over it, and then they.
But they look so cool.
They look awesome. They look so cool.
Like, Mommy, I want that. No, so that's those are some pretty good releases this week for the Genestealer Cults. Of course, also we've got the Strike Force Ultima box, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But it's $380 some deal for $250 retail, so it's like 35% off basically, just the MSRP. So solid deal. I'm sure G-Dub's going to sell a lot of these things, especially going into the holidays. On the radar for next week is Armies on Parade, which is next Saturday, depending on when you're hearing this. It's the 15th of October. So Haspil, you still got time. You can paint a whole army in a week. You're good. Some of us just need them deadlines, don't you?
We do, yeah, but I'm gonna not do Armies on Parade this time.
Hey, while we're on the topic of games, have you guys checked out Vermintide yet?
Oh
No.
yeah.
Oh, is it good?
Well, I haven't played it on the console. I played it back when it came out for Steam.
Right,
And
I haven't been able to. I've been watching it and following it, so I'm probably gonna pick it up.
If you've got a good group of friends, because my downfall came to like my close gamer group guys didn't pick it up, so I didn't get to play it as much as I wanted to. But it's essentially for those who aren't familiar with it, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Rat.
Only you're Left 4 Rat because you're up against the Skaven, and it takes place in the old world of Warhammer during the end times. And there's different classes. So like if in Left 4 Dead, it didn't matter who you played. All the classes were essentially the same. In this, there's different classes. There's actually like a witch hunter who has guns. There's like a mage class. There's different classes. So you can be an expert in everything. It's pretty fun if you like those kind of games. Like the Left 4 Dead kind of wave, hold off a wave while trying to accomplish objectives.
Well,
sounds
like another great
guys been watching game. I didn't mean to cut you up. I didn't mean to overtalk you there. Have you guys watched any of the trailers to the Death Watch?
Deathwing?
Oh my gosh.
Deathwing? That's what I mean.
All over that.
Dog, I don't know if I can express the amount of boners I popped during the first 5 seconds of the trailer that was going over the weapon types.
Oh yeah, with the like heavy flamer.
At least 16. When he picked up the storm shield, and was like running up at him, like I was like, that's my dream. That's literally my reoccurring dream.
It's too bad Juice isn't here because I have a feeling that's going to make Genestealers sad.
Like it was awesome.
Yeah, this game's gonna rock. Like I will definitely pick that up. It's gonna be on all sorts of formats. So, man, that's gonna be a super tight one. There's all sorts of properties coming out on these video games and stuff. Let's see, what do we got for next week? So next week from G-Dubs, besides the Armies on Parade, of course, and you can get the Wave 3 of Genestealers. Austin, more Genestealers coming your way. We got the Neophyte Hybrid Armored Claw set for $55, which is actually a good deal. It's about $30 off of MSRP, so it's a squad of Cadian Shock Troopers, the upgrade sprue, and a Chimera. And then the Cult Lehman Rush for $55.
So this is a new box set. Is this like is it a start collecting set or what is it?
No, it's just basically it's like, you know how they used to do like a transport and a squad?
Yeah. Kind
of double boxes, kind of like that. It's just a Cadian squad and a Chimera, but you get like a upgrade sprue for.
So you said it's like $35 cheaper than it normally would be?
It's like 30-ish because you figure the accessory sprue is like $15. I think the Chimera is what 45, I want to say, and then the Lehman, the Cadians are like 29, something like that. It's a good value for just, hey, I want to play guard, but Genestealers.
Don't these rookies know that everybody's got Chimeras, dog?
Well, I'm thinking about this too. I think the Chimera bypasses it fits under the armor rule for kill team. I think that's the deal there. Is that's a kill team.
10? Yeah, it's 32. It's good.
Yeah, so that's a kill team right there.
That is actually. I didn't think about that. Nice.
Wow,
that's pretty solid.
I might pick up a few of those, give them away on Twitch.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. And then they got the Lehman Russ, which just comes with the accessory sprue as well for 55. So that's pretty closes out the Genestealers, I think. So it looks like the only way to get the Aberrants is if you get them in the Overkill box with the Death Watch. I think it's like 165 total.
So the Overkill box is 165. Is that a good deal?
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because they basically they made a box set of the Death Watch guys for 65, but all of them could be sold separately for clan pack prices. Then they did the Brood Coven, which is the Patriarch, the Primus, and who did I forget there? Patriarch, Primus, and a Magus for $60. So now I guess they're saying that the rest of the models in there, the two other sprues, are worth at least, I don't know, $65 if you total it up to 165. It's hard to say, really. It's one of those weird things that I'm not sure they knew that this was coming, or maybe they did.
The Death Watch, those are the Death Watch, like super cool Death Watch characters.
Yeah, all 11 of them.
And we just don't know what the individual prices on those, but we do know. But they're saying that set is worth about $65.
Mm-hmm.
And so that does seem like a good deal.
Right. But a year from now we might see them separately. It's not unprecedented. That's for definitely sure. So I imagine those boxes will stay around for a while. They're going to be a good way to pick up cheap acolytes and neophytes.
Hopefully, after today, people will want to buy Aberrants, and they'll blow up GW.
Uh-oh.
To get them Aberrants.
Temporarily out of stock. You're going to break the system.
And that's called the Overkill box set that people are going to be wanting to buy here soon, right?
Yeah, if they haven't already. For hobby supplies, we got the new texture paints coming out in the big, super fat 24 mil pots, and you can get them in creamy and crunchy varieties now. And there's also a snow texture coming out called Valhallan Blizzard. Dun dun dun.
I feel like that should say Fenrisian Blizzard, but that's okay.
I feel like that's a failed.
Yeah, how did they mess that one up? I don't know. But speaking of Fenrisian, the limited edition Lehman Russ Primarch novel is going on sale the 21st. So that looks pretty fresh. I think they made like 2,500 of those, and then 6 months later they'll put out the normal edition. But it's pretty cool.
And I think that's about the legendary the legendary bout between him and the Lion. So
it's gonna be a good one. Somebody tell me what page it's on so I can just read that part.
Bitch ass Lehman Russ can't take a punch is what happened there.
No, he was laughing and the Lion sucker punched him.
The Lion is definitely like,
He's
classic, like, damn, try hard.
Got you good. Got you good.
But he also trolled Lehman Russ so hard because, like, what the worst thing you can do to somebody like on Facebook is? Who's like trolling you on a political post or something like that, writing like 6 paragraphs to you. What you do is you say something to them that gives them a 6 paragraph response to you, and then you simply say too long, didn't read.
Yes.
And before they can respond to you in fury, you just block them. That's literally what the Lion did to Lehman Russ when he knocked him out. He like woke up and the motherfucker wasn't even there in the same system anymore. Like the fury.
Got you good. Got you good. And the very last release I think we need to talk about is the Strike Force Ultimate, which is that ginormous box of Ultramarines. Because you can't have a new Dirty Xenos army without a great and noble Astartes army to come out and battle it on the shelf there, I guess. So that box is a captain, a Sternguard Vets, a Terminator, a Tactical Squad, a Stormhawk Interceptor, the Land Raider, a Razorback, and a Drop Pod, which retails out for about $380, depending on how you do the math. But either way, it's a solid deal, I feel like. And more importantly, it comes with a new formation that I think we need to talk about, because formations seem to be what 7th edition is all about. And this one is pretty sweet. I mean, it's not like the most amazing thing in the free history of ever that it seems like other people are getting.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a lot of taxes. Like everything in there is decent. Like a Land Raider. The only thing in there that's kind of a tax is shooty Terminators. But there's a reason why shooting Terminators are in the formation, because the formation is about shooting.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
The special rules are, it's the first one is called Ultimate Strike. During deployment, all units in this formation must be placed in reserve. All non-vehicle units from this formation must either be embarked on a transport vehicle from the formation or placed in Deep Strike Reserve, because basically you have a Land Raider, a Razorback, and the drop pod, but then you have the Terminators, the tactical.
And the only reason they word it that way is because there's Terminators in there. Like there's basically saying everyone has to be in reserves.
Yeah, but the Terminators, we all know, can deep strike.
The Terminators can either be deep striking or they can be in the Land Raider.
So
that's the two. That's why it has that weird last sentence. Everything has to be in reserves. The Terminators can deep strike or be in the Land Raider.
Right. All the units in this formation, including the Flyers, arrive from reserve on your first turn now.
And why does it say Flyers? Can that flyer be can that flyer be a squadron?
No, it's just one.
Okay. Just generally speaking, Flyers and their rules say at the start of turn 2.
No, I was wondering why it said the plural instead of the singular.
I got you.
I don't know. That's
this
weird.
Is funny.
It
I was
say
thinking,
including the Flyers.
So, like, because I was wondering if it was like, can that particular flyer be a squadron of Flyers? I was just wondering.
That's actually a good question. Let me check the book on that one, because I know it's in whatchamajigger, Death from the Skies. But let me check that while you're talking. So the Ultimate Storm, the other half of the special rules. Oh, so it arises from reserves on your first turn. No need to roll. Pretty awesome.
So there's no. So even though you have a huge point chunk in this army, you don't have to worry about getting tabled because they all come on turn 1.
Plus, it's going to put your opponent on his heels already, because it's like all of a sudden, boom, in your face, or just on the board, taking objectives, doing Space Marine things.
Yeah, and they're all useful. Like, like a tactical squad and a Razorback, useful. Like the Flyer, useful. Land Raider, useful. The Terminator is not that useful, but the Stern Guard drop pod, useful. You know what I'm saying? They're all. So the worst tax you have is Terminators, but I will take a Terminator tax over a Dreadnought tax.
Heck yeah. Okay.
So
Stormhawk is the meat, Rob. The meat of this formation.
Yeah. So the Stormhawk is only a squadron of 1.
Yeah. So just whatever. That's just the way they like to write things. Flyers.
The second special rule is Ultimate Storm. When a unit from this formation arrives from reserve or disembarks from a transport vehicle for the first time, all ranged weapons carried by models in the unit add 1 to the number of shots they can make until the end of the turn.
Wait, so the vehicles themselves don't get it, just the units inside the vehicle?
No, it says whenever a unit from this formation arrives from reserve or disembarks from a transport vehicle.
Okay, or.
Yeah, the transports are part of the formation, though. So.
Correct. So they basically everything gets to shoot an extra shot.
So
all your ranged weapons carry all your models.
That's only on that turn, though, right?
Only on that turn, yeah. When it arrives from reserves, yep.
Tactical squad with a bunch of meltas can shoot 6 melta shots turn 1.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to have the range because they're going to be in the. I mean, you can put them in the drop pod, but obviously Stern Guard is good for the drop pod. So I'd be thinking about tacticals with other weapons, because tacticals would take.
Tactical squad has to put it in a drop pod.
You could, but then where does the Stern Guard go?
In the drop pod that you had to take fast attack from the formation.
Oh, that's right, because you're not limited to the models in the box. They can all take upgrades.
No, it just says specific formation, and it lists all the models that are in the box.
That you can pay 35 points and put tactical Marines in the pod.
Is it the first formation that doesn't let you do that, or what do you say, Rob? What does it say is in the formation?
All it says is is everything in the box, and the only restriction it says is the captain must be equipped with Terminator armor.
Okay.
But then it also says it's a special rule. So when a unit from this formation arrives from reserve or disembarks from a transport vehicle for the first time, or disembarks from it.
I mean, it doesn't give you a list. I mean, because so formations, they typically say this formation is comprised of 2 these, 1 of these, and 1 of these.
It just says 1 tactical squad.
Okay, so yeah, so okay. So the tactical squad can take any upgrades it wants, or you can have a drop pod.
I mean, by that wording, then your Terminator squad, can it take?
No, because there's 2 different wording. Terminator and Terminator Assault Squad are 2 different units.
Oh, you're right.
So so there's no restriction on dedicated transports. It's just a lot of formations are like this, like the knobs that can attack out of turn. You take 1 unit of knobs, but the box comes with a unit of walking knobs. You can take 10 knobs on bikes because that's an upgrade. That's war gear.
I see both sides of the argument. Yeah.
So like, otherwise Gladiator Strike Force, like there's a lot of things that any box coming out means you could never manipulate it. You know what I mean? So the box is a deal to sell models, but that's also like saying if like it only comes with these 10 Tactical Marines and it doesn't come with this weapon, you can't use that weapon. If these Terminators don't come with this weapon, you can't use that weapon. You always have to use a sword on this guy. Like you only can use the Stern Guard weapons in here. Like, no, you can do whatever you want. The box set is a way for you to get to that for a good deal. So at the end of the day, the Terminators, can take that Land Raider. Land Raider can have any upgrades it wants as long as it's the Land Raider God pattern. The captain in Terminator armor, he can take any upgrade he wants, including Chapter Master, because that's a war gear upgrade. Yeah. It's not a unit entry. The Stern Guard can literally be a 10-man Stern Guard unit with all combi plasma, and they can have a drop pod because that's dedicated transport. The Tactical Marines can take 10 Tactical Marines with, all the meltas in the world or plasma and have a drop pod. The the Flyer can have any weapon upgrade options it wants to have, So you can make this formation very expensive with a lot of models that capitalize on the strengths of having every weapon in this army shoots an extra shot. Because there are obviously some guns that are better than other guns.
I mean, even situationally, like a flamer with an extra shot is pretty huge.
Yeah, a Terminator squad with, with a heavy flamer, 2-shot heavy flamer is pretty solid. A Land Raider that comes on the table 6 inches and uses Pilot Machine Spirit to shoot 1 las cannon. It uses its natural ability to shoot the other. It has 4 twin link las cannon shots.
I'm seeing obviously with everything Ultramarines can do with, their tactics and things like that, reroll to hit and all that. Awful. This sounds really good.
Tactical Doctrine, turn 1. Drop pod comes down. Now you have 1 tactical squad shooting 6 meltas, rerolling hits. The Vanguard veterans or the Stern Guard veterans come down. Let's say they had 8 combi plasmas. They get to reroll ones, right? So now they get to reroll off the gets hot result, hitting you with 3 shots each. So like they can literally have like 24, plasma gun shots that clean out the backfield right here, or gravs or whatever. But I love plasmas with 3 shots that reroll ones. Literally this could be strong. Like this is a strong formation with very little taxes, made stronger by the fact that it's Ultramarines.
Yep, I'm super digging it. I mean, I think this is going to be. I mean, besides the point savings or the money savings on the box, I mean, this is another solid formation that if you don't want to go full Gladius, and be that guy that takes all the grab spam and all that stuff, you don't want to just do something fluffy that's got a bunch of like solid Marine units. This is for you. Like you could really crack out to your hobby on this one. You know what I'm saying?
Or if you're the guy that wants to duplicate this formation 3 times and shoot everyone plasma shots, it works that way too.
Well, we that's why we have the panel on this show to bring it full circle. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. How many points would this be? Has anybody mapped it out yet?
It's
I currently have it in Battle Scribe right now.
I knew it. I knew that's why you went on mute.
Kenny, later on. Well, while we're adding it up, I think anything that can counter deploy like this, being able to hold your entire showing up turn 1, you almost always go second. You're always ending the game on objectives, and you always alpha strike. I think that's very strong.
Plus, I think it puts, like I was saying, it puts a lot of people on their back heels. Off their war footing because they don't know where the stuff's going to come in. They don't know where to focus. They have to spread out in the line.
That's going right into kind of what we're going to talk about with Genestealer Cults.
Let's take a quick break while Kenny's crunching his numbers there, and we'll come right back and jump right into the meat and potatoes of the episode, obviously, on what we think, or Austin definitely thinks, will be a great new Genestealer Cult list.
Dear veterans, quickly make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy. Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. Kenny, break down the points on that formation.
So the Ultima formation, is that what we're calling it? The Nissan Ultima?
Yes, the Nissan Ultima, straight force.
So after we talked about it, we decided that we wanted big, strong units. We wanted drop pods and et cetera, et cetera. It's about 1,250 points. You know, if your captain's a chapter master with a Shield Eternal, you know, and you want power units, you can obviously save about 150 points in the list if you soften it a little bit. But as it stands, we have 1 billion shots of plasma, 1 billion melting gun shots, a ton of las cannon shots, a ton of, as Austin was saying, like you can safely deploy by going second and not being on the table, safely end games, and augmented alpha strike if you're you know with the combat tactics, chapter tactics from Ultramarines.
That's good.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about, man, that's such a good combo with the chapter tactics. Holy cow.
You know, and as Austin mentioned, like you can get probably a bare bones Skyhammer Annihilation Force in there.
Yeah, I think I've added that's up so many times. You're going to get like a bare bones assault squads and then max grav.
Yeah, you can have like basically and like the grav and one of the cheapest, most effective Skyhammer Annihilation Force Devastator squads is 2 grav cannons, 2 multi-meltas, and a combi grav. It's like 80 points cheaper than all grav, and still has the math to kill a Wraith Knight in one volley and any vehicle in the game in one volley. So like it's like basically like 80 points cheaper. It can still do almost the same thing in every situation.
So we just built a list with a bunch of grav, a bunch of melta, a bunch of plasma, a bunch of las cannons, and a bunch of bolters.
And nothing on the table on turn 1.
Imagine stepping up to the table and being like, yo, I'm set up.
We're about to go over a list that does it the best of them all.
So now that we've talked about good old Smurfs, I think it's time to talk about why or why not are the Genestealer Cult OP.
So obviously, guys, anybody that's semi-competitive to just likes to hang out at events, obviously Eldar's been king big nuts, right? So that's why I'm excited. I think
Eldar and Space Marines right now.
Yeah, I think Genestealer Cults puts a whooping on both of them. So I built a list. We're going to go over. It's utilizing the Cult Insurrection, which is their Decurion type detachment. And Rob, you can help me out with the models. What models were in that box set with? Came out a while ago with
Overkill. The Overkill set.
Okay.
What was in that?
So in there you get 4 of the Aberrants. You get 2 Pure Strain Genestealers. 20 of the Neophytes and 10 of the Acolytes, I believe, and a various smattering of special weapons. I'm going to pull up the post just to be sure.
That's cool. Well, I can tell you right off the bat that every model in that box is in this list more than once. So take that into consideration. So you have to take a core, right? And just like every Decurion. So we're going to take the Brood cycle. There's 2 cores. One has like Lehman Russ and some more traditional guard units. I decided to go against that and stick with the more Genestealer theme. So the Brood cycle is the Acolyte Icon Ward. What he does, he's basically just a Genestealer with the banner. The banner is giving his unit and every unit within 12 inches +1 to their feel no pain.
So basically, people have a 6-up feel no pain, or at the very least, and then everyone else who already has feel no pain gets augmented.
Yes, gets a 4-up basically. So it's useful for a 65-point guy. He's useful. We've got a mandatory hybrid metamorph unit. And the acolyte hybrids are basically the same. They just have different loadouts. So the metamorphs are more. They don't get access to all the cool mining weapons. So I've got these guys are just bare bone.
They're your attacks.
They're just attacks here. And then the other attacks for this is just 5 pure strain Genestealers, which is kind of funny that you say they're attacks because they actually do work. They're
the best Genestealers we've ever had.
Of all, yeah, they're the best we've ever seen. They're the ones in your dreams and your thoughts. So Juice has dreamed about these Genestealers for a long time. We have 3 units of 5 acolyte hybrids apiece, bare bones, and then we have 2 units of 10 neophyte hybrids, bare bone as well. And you guys remember, all the acolytes, all the hybrid units have rending claws. So
yeah, they're little strength 3 scrubs with rending.
Well, they're actually strength 4.
They're strength 4.
Yes. So they all have 2 attacks. They all have an extra combat weapon. So you're looking at 4 attacks a piece on the charge, strength 4 rending. Like they're not good to get charged by. Yes. Well, and it turns out that that's what this army does very well. So if anybody at home wanted to take shooting version, I do not shoot. I don't want to shoot one weapon this entire game when I'm playing with this army.
So you already have a bunch of units that are cheap.
A bunch of units. Strong. Now, only one unit so far has infiltrate, which is the Genestealers. So most of this has to be held in reserve or deployed on the table and try to leave turn 1. But I'll kind of give you some tactics when I'm done going over it. This is the meat and potatoes of the list is the subterranean uprising. So what the subterranean uprising gives you is the entire formation has infiltrate. So every unit I'm about to go over gets to roll cult ambush turn 1. And their benefit is instead of rolling 1 dice, they get to roll 2 dice on the chart.
So this is an auxiliary to the Decurion?
Yes, this is the auxiliary. So everyone's rolling 2, and then a unit with, if there's a Primus in a unit from this formation, they roll 3 dice instead of 2 and pick their result.
Really good math.
So lots of dice. So turn 1, I think we're going to roll about 12 dice, and you're just looking for 6s, obviously. So here's the subterranean uprising. 7 aberrants, and those are the guys we went over last podcast.
2 wounds, toughness 4, feel no pain, right?
Feel no pain, toughness 4. I'm giving them all hammers, so we're looking at strength 8, AP 2. There's a way they always have furious charge, so they're strength 9, and then we'll go over psychic buffs. They're strength 10 with rage almost always. And you're talking about 4 attacks on the charge there, so you can do some math for me. What's 7?
Yeah, this is like a Wolfen squad, basically. Like,
yes,
yeah, this is straight up a Wolfen squad. Yeah.
And then here's my favorite, guys. We have 4 units of 10 acolyte hybrids with 4 in each unit.
So you have 4 more like mining drills or whatever.
Yeah. So what those rock saws are doing is because the acolyte hybrids are strength 4. It doubles their strength to strength 8, AP 2, armor bane. So that's 12 strength 8, AP 2, armor bane attacks per unit, potentially charging things turn 1. And then we have our little tax. We have to take a unit of hybrid metamorphs. Again, they can't take the saws, but I did give these guys crushing claws, which gives them +2 strength, which makes them strength 6 rending on the charge with 4 attacks apiece.
Yeah, a bunch of assault cannons against vehicles.
Exactly. So obviously we have a heavy kind of Death Star we've started. We have a bunch of good units that are rolling 2 dice trying to charge things turn 1. So we want to buff up our little Death Star. So we add the Brood Coven, which is in that box set Rob discussed. That comes with the Magnus, the Patriarch, and the Primus. The Magnus and the Patriarch are both level 2 psychers. What the Brood Coven does for this Decurion, it kind of acts like the Space Wolf detachment with just join up together and they form a single unit. The
Weirdstone Brotherhood or the
the one with like
the heralds. The heralds of the Great Wolf. So this is even better though. All 3 of these independent characters do not lose independent character. But they have to stay together the whole game. So
they look out Sir and 2 up still, which is
yes, exactly. They can join other units. They don't lose that capability. They just always have to stick together, and they are actually a unit. So I'll go over some tactics which are really silly with them. But what they add, they give the Death Star preferred enemy, they give the Death Star fleet and counterattack.
Oh, good. And you also have four psychic rolls.
Four psychic.
Yeah, if you open them, the preferred enemy's clutch for sure.
And you're looking for the +1 strength psychic power, right? A lot of times.
Yes, +1 strength, rage, run and charge, fleet. I mean, it's whatever you roll. If you think you need invisibility, you can roll till you get it, and then every other power goes on the.
I'm pretty sure doesn't the Patriarch give whoever he joins Furious Charge?
Yes. That's why they all
fearless.
So
he gives them fearless too.
They're strength 9, but they need something to be strength 10. If he's going up against an opponent where strength 10 is required, he can roll like crazy on it. But the strength 10 gives you more. Like it's not like it's +1 strength, rage, and run after charge, right? Or charge at the run, right?
No, that's 2 different powers. That's
or 2 different. That's a combo of 2 different powers. You have 4 dice to find 2 amazing powers.
Absolutely. And we'll go over. Well, I'll just finish the list. I have a combined arms as well to get some objectives secured. I have 2 squads of 5 Acolyte hybrids again. Again, just rending. And then I have 2 level 2 Magnus. So we have 4 level 2 Psychers total, all joined in our little Death Star.
And somebody in this Death Star is going to have Shroud, right? At least.
So the way I'm doing it is I roll telepathy. And you get what you get. Obviously, Shroud and invisibility is great. You have 8 rolls to get to roll a 4 or 5. Yes, and then whichever one you get, probably the strongest power that this army can do is their summoning power in their new book.
Oh my gosh!
It's probably the most ridiculous thing out there. Due to the fact for 3 warp charge dice, I can summon 10 more Acolyte hybrids with 4 more rock saws that can cult ambush instead of deep striking, because that's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds wow.
So every turn you can summon 10 more guys with 12 more strength 8 AP2 armor bane that are potentially charging you. Every turn.
Wait, so they can, because they're doing the ambush, they can assault when they come in?
Only
if they roll a 6. They roll charge.
Okay.
But almost everything on the chart is like I'm here, or I'm here, or I'm here.
I mean, obviously, we've read the chart last week. It's pretty much everything is deploy anywhere on the table. So we're talking objective wise. This army is ridiculous.
Like it's an ultimate gotcha bitch scenario.
So
like you almost always have the ability to put your units where you need to.
Kind of the tactics here. Obviously, what the Decurion is giving you is +1 to your reserve rolls and -1 to your opponent's reserve rolls. It allows you to reroll the Warlord trait. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you're fishing for a 6. I think a 6 on the Warlord trait allows your Warlord's unit to automatically they get to choose what they do on the Cult ambush table every time they use it.
I think that's if the Patriarch is your Warlord, though.
Well, guess who's my Warlord?
I know, right? Don't forget that.
The Patriarch in the objective secure detachment is going to be your Warlord?
Yeah, how about that?
No, the Patriarch is in the Decurion because he can reroll on the chart in the Decurion.
That's why I was giving you some shit.
Oh, I'm not. I didn't. That went over my head, man.
It's like, so what? Why on earth would you possibly put your Patriarch there?
So check this out. Because Cult Ambush is so good, you're going to roll, like I said, almost 12 dice for the 7 beefy units.
Because they already get to roll 2 dice and pick one.
Right. So every unit I have 7 units, and you roll 2 dice for each. and 3 dice for your Death Star. And then obviously every 6 is hurting people. You got to remember, you're not deep striking. So like you deploy 3 inches away from the enemy. You can deploy 3 inches away from like 3 of their units, and charge all 3 of them. So this multi-charges very well. It kills anything on the table almost. But what happens, everything turn 1 that had infiltrate, so that whole Subterranean Uprising has Shroud turn 1 as well. So everything that's not charging you turn 1 is in a ruin on objectives with 2 up cover saves. That's very good.
Yeah, that's very good.
Do you only have Shroud on turn 1?
Just turn 1.
Just turn 1, yeah.
This is the best part.
I mean, those are good combos. That's a good combo.
So the best part is after you've charged your opponent multiple times potentially, whatever is left, if you feel out of position, if my Death Star, didn't get good powers and you killed like 5 of the 7 aberrants, they can use their rule, and if they're not within 6 inches of you, which the majority of the units not charging, they don't have to deploy near you if they feel like you can counter strike them. They'll leave the table. Once they return from ongoing reserves, they're replenished. They get D6 models back. So the aberrants are 2 wounds.
I can't leave. So if I charge you,
they can't leave because they're within 6 inches of the enemy.
Right. So, but the other guys, like, they can take some damage from being shot at, and you can say fuck and just leave the table, come back with D6 more guys.
It's more models. So like the aberrants can charge like a Wraith Knight, maybe lose some guys to stomp, and then leave the table, and then come back with D6 guys back. It's not wounds, so like they can bring whole models back.
Right.
Yeah,
it's because my Warlord and a Magnus and the Primus are all a unit. When they leave, you can bring back your Warlord when he's dead.
Yeah.
Like let's break. That sounds stupid, but it's awesome at the same time. So the math on it. What are you looking at? Well, now that we've left the table turn 1, turn 2 is I have all my reserves come in. So I have 10 more units basically on 2 ups come in, and they all roll Called Ambush with 1 dice. And then it's just a fun game now. Now it's turn 2. I have new guys come on, new units come in, charge things, get objectives. Turn 3 is another Alpha Strike because all the meaty units are back on 2 dice rolling on Called Ambush with D6 models back. So if you killed all my Rock Saws in turn 1, well, you got D6 Rock Saws are back, dude. And they're charging you again.
It's just layers upon layers.
Yeah, so turn 3 is another Alpha Strike. And same thing, that turn 3, whatever's left of your smaller units that showed up turn 2 can leave the table if they feel like they're getting whooped. And then they can come back on turn 4. And it's an endless cycle of Cult Ambush.
Yeah, it has kind of a 3rd edition Seeding Swarm feel to it.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I was thinking that same thing. I just couldn't remember what the name of it was.
So obviously, if we go over the psychic powers and what you can do with like the Death Star, I mean, the Death Star can have a 3-up Feel No Pain. If you want to go Endurance, you can go Invisible, Rage, +1 Strength. Obviously, what I'm going to probably do is summoning. You can summon 20-man Neophyte unit. It's 20 guardsmen, but they come with all their upgrades. So you can give them
heavy weapons.
You can give them a heavy weapon platform, 2 heavy weapons, 2 specialist weapons, flamers, whatever you want. And like I said, they don't have to deep strike because
do these guys have rending too?
No, but they have basically las cannons.
No, but it's an infantry platoon.
Yeah.
Yes, these are like the guardsmen. You just basically summon a 20-man platoon with all the special weapons.
I'm into that
for free.
Well, I mean, for 3 warp charge points.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna summon 4 more Rock Saws and charge you, but 20 guys is no joke, and this is why it's bad. This is why it's gonna hurt people's feelings. Is they don't have to deep strike because they count as coming from ongoing reserves, which means they can Cult Ambush and show up anywhere on the table, basically. So just having 20. You're saying after my circle, I've been taking guys out, bringing them in, taking them out. Turn 5 is going to be a shit show. You know, it's going to be the whole army left turn 4, and they all came back turn 5 on every objective.
An army that's capable of killing whole units.
Yeah,
like,
if you leave 3 or 4 dudes left.
Yeah, and so basically as a counter, you have to be aware of what the army does. One of the things that you can't let happen is you can't let units that want to leave the table leave the table. So you're going to need to sacrifice a rhino. You're going to need to sacrifice the last jet bike in a squad, something like that, to put within 6 inches of units that you can't afford to leave the table when you're playing up against this army. You're going to have to try to, finish units, not try to weaken units. Like a lot of people who shoot a lot are, weakening units for multiple turns, playing like a turn 4 kind of game. You're basically going to have to terminate and delete units. Like you have to say, you can't even leave one guy alive. You're gonna have to say, like, this unit that's 200 points of shooting is gonna have to target every bullet at this unit and kill it. You know what I mean? Like, being inefficient with firepower, So, even though, so that's still cool, it still plays into your hand a little bit, because you're like, yeah, fine, shoot your 265 point shooting unit at these guys. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, every time a broadside unit kills a rhino, that makes me smile, But they can't split up though. They have to kill a unit, or you're off the table. D6 guys back, call ambush.
Yeah, somewhere else. That could even be a tactic too, where you're trying to reposition this unit on the right over to the left. So, that's pretty clutch. Like,
it's definitely not OP, because there's awarenesses, right? That you have to go into the fight knowing. If you don't understand the rules of what and the limitations of the rules that this army has, it will run you over like you don't exist.
I agree, but I'm gonna have to tell you, I'm not sure what a lot of armies are gonna do. I roll 14 dice turn 1, Kenny. How many 6s can you get? What's math says 2, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm. They're coming in, they're assaulting.
Right. It means basically, like, strong Space Marine Death Stars that don't rely on psychic augmentation to be strong are still, like, it's not a great place for a toughness 4 feel no pain 3+ feel no pain unit to be.
But you can also be, conversely, drop those units in on their squishy soft targets, our objective secured, holding things in the backfield,
right.
And then just mass stuff in waves or lines.
There's always a counter to a counter.
Yeah, there is.
So what I'm saying is that awareness. Step 1 is awareness. You need to know that these guys are probably going to have some degree. They're going to have at least like 30 guys charging you turn 1. You need to know that, and you need to set up to defend that. And there's bubble screen tactics, bubble wrapping, row bumps, crew mercenaries, motherfucking infiltrate. They can literally say you can't infiltrate past this line. Like if you're trying to do first turn charges, you know what I mean?
Obviously, the servo skulls really come into play.
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of things you need to be aware of, and of course, the Genestealer Cult player needs to be aware of the counter to the counter, and they need to have a secondary way to play, which is what's good about.
Well, that's fine. All that shit doesn't really work.
If you're trying to do first turn charge, you have to follow infiltrating rules.
That's not true at all. You have to follow the cult ambush rule, which says deploy within 3 inches of the enemy unit.
That's what the 6 says, 3 inches, and you can charge?
Yeah, you just come out of reserves 3 inches away from them.
Yeah.
As long as you were in reserves, you're legal to just.
Or no, as long as you're outflanking, you're legal.
There's definitely ways to bubble wrap. I'm just saying, like, servo skulls aren't going to do shit.
No, servo skulls aren't going to stop. But like I'm saying, is like there's a whole bunch of units that that deploy stuff. Let's say I'm playing Tau and I have 5 units of crew, which I always would take because I don't understand why people don't take crew because they're so useful. They infiltrate too. So now you have to roll off to see who infiltrates first. Right?
Okay.
Not true. In lieu of infiltrating, you roll cult ambush. So that would be.
So cult ambush is not infiltration.
No, exactly.
So at what point do you set up a cult ambush unit?
Whenever it arrives from reserve.
Well, I'm talking about on turn 1.
I'd have to get the book. You may have a point. It may say in lieu of infiltrating.
Still using the normal, like, you deploy last after all enemy units. And
but you have to place them on the board.
You do. So if you infiltrate, You are simply deploying last after the enemy. If I'm infiltrating, I am doing the same thing. Now you roll off to see who like staggers. If somebody else has as many infiltrating units as you, now there's a chess match of placement.
I have a question for you, Kenny. How many units do you have to set up on the board in a normal game of 40K?
As many as you want.
Okay, so you don't set up any of your army. It comes on from reserves per normal. Like you might have to roll for it on turn 2, but on turn 2, for the stuff that you just arbitrarily left off, you roll in the cold ambush chart and you start the cycle.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm not talking about turn 2. I'm talking about turn 1 trying to charge me on turn 1.
Oh, I got you.
I get charged on turn 2 every game of 40K I play.
Hey, Rob, do you have the book? I can go get mine.
Yeah, I got it. What do you need now?
Just read me Cult Ambush. Just read it verbatim.
Okay.
It says when arriving from ongoing reserves, but then it says also obviously when you infiltrate.
It says, okay, units with a special rule that infiltrate or arrive from reserve or ongoing reserve can choose to roll on the cult ambush table instead of deploying or arriving from reserves normally. I think that's all we need. Unless otherwise specified, ambushing units move onto the table as described for other reserves and cannot be moved any further during the movement phase.
Okay, so now we're in that first rules discussion, like that people need to have a talk about. You see what I'm saying?
Because units with a special rule that infiltrate can choose to roll on the cult ambush table instead of deploying or arriving from reserves normally.
So at what point during their deployment do they have to set up?
That's a good point.
You have to arrive from reserve or ongoing reserve.
No, you don't. We're literally not talking about that. We're talking about the or of this sentence, which is or infiltrate. So if in Austin's army, the primary theme is layered and an alpha strike. He's talking about, I'm going to hit you with 3 units on turn 1 because they're going to, instead of outflank, they're going to call ambush on turn 1 because they're going to choose this. They're not going to start the game in reserves. Other units are. So on turn 1, he's trying to assault me with like 30 models or his Death Star or whatever. So he's setting up within 3 inches of me and he's going to assault me on turn 1. At what point during deployment phase does he set these models up? Does he set them up as you would assume an infiltrator does, which is last after all enemies units have been deployed, or is it during normal deployment? You see what I'm saying? If they're if you're saying they're infiltrating and you're going to assume it's like an infiltrator, then it's last after all my units. So I set up my whole army, then you call ambush and put your units within 3 inches of mine.
Okay. So
yes, that's what I'm leaning towards, Kenny.
That's what it looks like here. Units with a special rule to infiltrate or arrive from reserve can choose to roll on the cult ambush table. Opposite. So over here it says, if you say you want to do the first turn assault, it says set up the ambushing unit anywhere on the table that's 3 inches from an enemy unit. Unlike other units that infiltrate or arrive from reserve, the ambushing unit can charge in the first turn or on the turn they arrive from reserves.
So obviously I have to be set up on the table or you don't get to use the line 3 inches from an enemy. So you are definitely setting up last after all other models have been placed because, or the 3 inch line doesn't make sense. So what if I have 6 units of crew?
Well, you're very, I mean, obviously if you deploy first or if I deploy first, like I'd have to deploy and your army's not there yet. Like,
no. So we have now for sure determined that cult ambush on turn 1 happens just like infiltrating last after all my normal deployment takes place.
Yes,
but I have infiltrators too, which deploy last after all of the normals are placed. And typically when you get this part of the game, you have to roll off to see who starts.
Yeah, it says you roll off for infiltrators. I checked that.
So now so my whole Tau army's placed. We roll off. I win. Let's say I place the first unit of crew around this. Now he gets to place a unit. Right? Now I get to place the next unit of crew.
Yep.
So all I'm using this as an argument is like, be aware that you're going to want to play a gauntlet of special rules in your army. If people are playing Cult Genestealers with these abilities, there are absolute counters.
Absolutely.
There are absolutely ways to protect your army on turn 1.
We talked about
crippled.
Bringing Wall of Death back, Tau Flamers, bringing anything like that can kill these armies when they charge you.
Yeah, having a balanced army with more tools is definitely going to help you defend against this.
But what it absolutely does do is take the game in the competitive scene right now and kind of turn it upside down.
It flips on top. Like right now, Gladiator Strike Force #1 army 40K right now. Gladiator Strike Force does not want a piece of this.
No.
They do not want a piece of this.
No, Eldar doesn't want a piece of it.
Eldar literally doesn't want a piece of this shit. Like Eldar can't even like on turn 1, they can't even hurt you, man. Like everyone's gonna have 2 of cover saves.
Yeah, or you're charging. So it's gonna have to force Eldar to counter deploy you. I mean, if you deploy your 2 Warp Hunters, like they're dead. Like if you deploy your Farseer and a Jetbike unit, like they're dead. Like if you deploy the Wraith Knight, like he's gonna get charged by.
So it absolutely changes. If this army shows up, it shifts what's good right now. Like you have to change your army list.
Yeah, without a doubt. You can even leave stuff in reserve, Austin, come into ongoing reserves, because remember, if you take the detachment, you get +1 to come in. So you can come in turn 2 and do the very same thing and do your wave.
That's what he had outlined. He outlined a tiered attack force, an alpha strike followed by a turn 3. He has an alpha strike on turn 1 and an alpha strike again on turn 3.
Right, because they bounce out and then they bounce in.
And that's what he's saying. So the question is it OP? It's not OP if it just makes you play a different way. Like if you're like, oh, this is OP, I can't beat it. If you can't beat it with your current army list, it doesn't make it OP. It just means that your army list is outdated now.
It's definitely going to shift a lot of things. There's no doubt there. And there's always a shift when a new army comes out and something rises to the top, something goes down a notch. It's just like the top 20 chart, on radio or whatever. But, at the end of the day, there's going to be a specific way to play. Just like when you play against Necrons, there's a specific way to play against Necrons. You don't want to leave dudes on the tabletop. It's basically that,
Yeah, you can't leave them on the table. So like basically the only current army that's not gonna have to make a lot of adjustments is like an Aaron Erlong style Death Star. They're used to having to fight nasty fights with nasty units in close combat. With a chapter master taking an unrealistic amount of 3-hit saves, but somehow miraculously always making them because that's what Storm Shields do. Having like a Blade of Wounds in your unit, like Fenrisian Wolves take the ones he doesn't want to take. Literally making people with units think twice about what they want to charge. So that list is still going to do well against other armies and still has tools to not get tabled by this army.
It's not going to get tabled, but you could definitely amoeba and set up a lot of units so they can't hit and run out in a specific direction.
Right, but you're not trying to hit and run out. You're trying to crush units because you can't play against a Genestealer army and leave people alive.
That's what I'm saying. So like if you keep feeding him and keep kind of boxing him in while your other units go and score and do the things that the mission's about, hopefully not kill points, and hopefully he's bringing other kill points somewhere, or then you kind of get me. But this list, I won't be able to kill that Death Star, but sometimes time is its own victory in 40K, I feel like.
Right, but what I'm saying is like the tactic you just outlined is actually what the Death Star wants to do. Like the Death Star doesn't want to bounce out and not finish units off. Like it wants to finish units. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, obviously, if I'm running up against Aaron A. Long and I'm running,
you have to play it a totally different way.
Yeah, you're not going to charge things. You're literally just not going to play 40K.
You're making him charge you. You're literally saying, I'm not going to roll the 6. The 6 doesn't mean shit to me.
And hopefully, you find them on an objective-based mission, and
which is what we're talking about. Like, so there's a shift that has to happen by your opponents going up against an army like this. And then there's going to have to be a counter shift of people playing this army going up against those people. And then, so there's no way to predict meta shift is what I'm always saying. Like, basically my point is like, we can say right now, Gladius and Eldar and their current iterations, not good against this. Definitely not good against this. Death Stars don't have to make many adjustments to still feel like they're engaging and playing the game, right? Because the number one way people anyway is by not charging them and shit.
We can math it out. I know I've rolled a lot of dice. It's very dependent on psychic powers and what's in the Death Star and that kind of things. But like a Wolf Star, for instance, like I'm talking, I've got 1 million strength, 10 attacks too, dog.
Right. No, for real. You have quality. They have quality. Like, so all they have to do is make minor shifts. All Aaron Erlong has to do is play last year's Death Star with 12 Cyberwolves and a Chapter Master. You know what I mean? So that way the Chapter Master just takes 3 ups until he doesn't want to, and then Cyberwolves die. And then he comes back in there and turns off your Funeral Pain. Like there's literally just minor like meta shift adjustments that happen over the course. What I'm interested in is not in what boring ass Death Stars are going to do to fight this. I'm interested in what Gladiator Strike Force is going to have to evolve to, those players, what Eldar players are going to have to evolve to, And then what in turn that does to Death Stars. Because now, if those two armies, which are hard for Death Stars because basically Gladius wins because Gladius, if that army doesn't exist anymore, does Death Star even have to continue to exist? You know what I mean? If Eldar with 1 billion straight 6 shots doesn't exist anymore, does the Death Star even have to exist anymore?
That's a very good point.
Is this army accidentally going to rebalance 40K?
It could very well, because it is a combination of formations and things, which we see as pretty much the basis for Age of Sigmar. So maybe it is a heavy-handed rebalancing and we didn't even pick up on it.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I don't think it's OP. I think it makes you go back to the Beats Lab.
It's a course correction, which is needed, honestly.
Well, I definitely think it's going to be positive, but looking back, obviously, as a competitive player, and I'm going to try to play test the crap out of this and have some fun with it. I really do think the fact that you can deploy 3 inches from the enemy unit anywhere, like you don't have to deploy on the side of the chapter master. You can charge them from the back. You can charge them from anywhere. I mean, you're talking about a single Death Star like Aaron Along usually runs. I'd have to roll it out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's an auto.
He has 3 units of scout that infiltrate too, so he can block. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm saying is like this is what we're saying. It's like you have to be aware of what the Genestealer army can do if you want to play in a tournament. If you're going to go to a tournament and you're going to run into this, and then it tables you, don't go home, with that salt. Like, you simply weren't aware of the rules. The person who knows the most rules oftentimes wins 40K in a tournament.
That's 100%.
And
correct.
Austin always knows the rules of his opponent. He always knows where he doesn't want the lookout stars to come from. He always knows what psychic powers bother him the most.
I got every book, dog.
He always knows when to charge, when not to charge. Like he always knows those things, and that's what makes it's going to make Austin's version of the Genestealers be very efficient, because he's not going to play the army the same way against He's going to play hyper aggressive against these Eldars, hyper aggressive against these Gladiuses. He's going to play it completely different against these Death Stars. He's not going to just recklessly deploy and like he's going to counter deploy. He's going to win the game. He's not going to say, what I mean? Like, and that's a good thing for 40K. Engaging makes 40K good. Even if you're taking all your models off the table and it's happening because models are like within 3 inches of you, that is such a better feeling than taking all your models off the table when models are 36 inches away from you.
That is a good point. I completely agree with that. I think this army is going to be fun, and hopefully, and like you said, there are going to be some counters to it. I think Tau is extremely, Interceptor Tau can kill this whole army. Like, let's be honest. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing is Tau secretly the best army in 40K still. You know what I mean? Because it can beat almost the new armies that come out that beat the current shit, but it just can't beat the current shit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So like Tau secretly the sleeper army.
No, I agree. So yeah, if like you said, Kroot got to come back. If you can survive the turn 1 alpha, everything after that is can be intercepted. So
you need to find a way to get some pocket wyverns in your army so you can open up holes inside of infiltrating fucking Kroot.
I got a 12 wyvern list with these
purge.
I just couldn't bring it out because I talk about wyverns too much, and people are like, "Okay, how many wyverns do you have now?" I own 16.
That's what I'm saying. One pocket, like one guard CAD with 2 units of 2 wyvern, open the hole in Kroot bubble wraps for you to get to the juicy.
No.
Yes, there's definitely it's 735 points for like there's 6 wyverns and an ordnance time with a mortar, like plug and play. But this go at using the Decurion, using every special character. The Death Star has every rule ever. It's counterattack.
This army beats every army I play right now. Like, without a doubt. It
is strong.
This army literally beats like everything I have. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it's
definitely beats Decurion.
Well, it's definitely it's scary because when you start deploying, I'm always going to deploy second. Or it doesn't really matter because the whole formation infiltrates and starts in reserve. So you're going to deploy your army, and while you're deploying, a lot of people are going to have like headaches and not know what to do. make mistakes early until they start learning the army. Because you can't deploy. You really can't deploy anything because it's whatever you deploy needs to be ready to die, and you need to not get your feelings hurt
you need to remember that units can die and you can still play the game. Like,
you not get your feelings hurt that you deployed. If you deploy your 2 warp hunters, I think you need a lesson in not deploying them when you're playing against Genestealers. Like free shooting.
You need to be willing to feed Genestealers units to save units. You need to be willing to put things in reserves you don't normally want to put in reserves. You need to be willing to play from your heels and try to win games on turn 4 instead of destroy them on turn 1 and 2. Like you need to reprogram yourself. I like what Haspil said. It's a course correction, man.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is doing.
I love it. I think it's an amazing army list, and I love the rules.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be fresh for the hobby, that's for sure. Because
I'll make sure I pick out of these. I got my beast. I'm doing Beastmen ambush, so I've got all Beastmen instead of Genestealers. I'm converting them up with some Tyrannid stuff and making them all Beastmen. I'm doing Chaos, so
because you're gonna pair it with your Vrax stuff, right?
Yeah, it's gonna look all nurgly and awesome. So obviously, I have like 150 Gores with 2 hand weapons. So they're literally perfect for these acolyte hybrids that have 2 weapons in their Tyranids. I'm like, well, I have 2 weapons and I have a Beastman head. I just evolved a little differently, more chaos.
And also chaos, they interact with Genestealer Cult in a different way. They use them for their purpose.
Yeah, they like the chaos.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I gotta check the size of those aberrants because I think they're small. I don't think they're like very big.
Yeah, I don't think they're ogre size.
No, they're slightly smaller than ogre.
I think they're like I think they're still on 32s possibly.
No, let's see. I got the picture pulled up here because I was. 32s. Let's see.
But regardless,
no, they're 40s.
Well, Terminator base is good. I'm gonna have mine are a little bigger. I'm gonna soup up some Minotaurs for my Death Star and have a
run with the theme, run crazy with it. The chaos, love the Vrax ordinance coming in.
It's gonna be tight. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Coming to a beat slab near you.
Man, well, I think we plowed through that pretty good as far as the breaking down some potential army lists and some pretty devastating mechanics. I feel like Kenny had some good counterpoint there too. Hope is not all lost yet for every other army out there, I guess. Just got to learn, just got to adapt. No big deal,
they can kill Eldar. I'm like Inquisitor Cryptman. It's like, hey, there's some Xenos Genestealer cults. Well, should we wipe them out? Well, hold up. They might be able to kill the Eldar. That's
funny you say that. So before we sign off, I'm thinking that if you go to a tournament now and you bring your balanced list, you might avoid the Genestealers altogether while the old school Eldar lists get crushed, and you actually might have a good time and actually win.
Yeah,
great point, especially in the Bringing Hobby Back event.
Yeah, I can get behind all of those things.
Oh my God. So Genestealers are there just to handle the Eldar players with 50 Warp Spiders. Did you know Warp Spiders die immediately to this army?
Why are you rolling dice? I'm rolling dice.
You're not shooting at them, so they can't zip away.
Yeah,
they can't zip away, and it wounds. They don't ignore cover, and then I'm strength 4 rending.
And half his guys are like. Some guys are initiative too high to wound.
Yeah. So literally, please bring 40 Warp Spiders to my table. When you're shooting at a Genestealer unit, you're wounding them on 4s like your bolters. You're like, Gah. and then you have cover and all that.
2-up cover.
Yeah.
Because if they're on the table turn 1, they're dead. Then if they go into deep strike reserves, then there's less things on the table for you to go after. Like you're just like, I'm gonna literally cripple you. Dog.
This is something I didn't go over too. Everything in every special rule in the Death Star has a 12-inch bubble basically. So any other unit near my characters in the unit can get hatred, can get feel no pain, can get furious charge, can get things. So you can kind of
if you put the icon ward in there too, it goes out to 24 inches.
Yeah, I actually have that.
For his.
It's 20,
okay.
it is 24-inch bubble for Feel No Pain.
Yeah, for the Feel No Pain.
Yeah. There's a lot of combos built in. We didn't go over everything. There's too much to go over, but I think it's good. It should be fun.
It should be. Can't wait to see it in the Beats Lab.
Post up some pics for everybody there. All right, Haspil, why don't you take us out, buddy?
All right. Just remember what old Jack Burton does when the earth quakes and the poison arrows fall from the sky and the pillars of heaven shake. Yeah, Jack Burton just looks at that old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it."